Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Mannino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. It's Michael Mannino, and welcome to Driven, Unscripted Success podcast. Today on the podcast, we're interviewing professionals who share their experience with you, the audience, and how they got to where they're at today. And today we've got a special individual. We got Adam. He's from Pompano Cleaning, and we were talking offline. I don't know how long you've been doing this, but you've done a lot in a short amount of time. Could you do me a favor, tell everybody about yourself and how you got to where you're at today?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Michael. I appreciate it. It sounds like it's a short time, but it'll be my 17th year here. Maybe it's all the fun stuff's been backloaded, but So Anago Cleaning Systems is a 3-tier commercial cleaning franchise company. So I'm sure most of your listeners are familiar with, some degree of franchising, but most franchises it's like McDonald's corporate and then the people who own the restaurants. Anago is unique because it's the 3-tier structure, which is sort of tied to our industry. And so what happens is I manage the corporate office. We sell what's called a master franchise, which is sort of like an area mini franchise company. And then within that their territory, right? So name a big metro area, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Dallas. Within their territory, they sell janitorial franchises. So these are folks that own and manage cleaning businesses. And so the way to think about it really with ease is flip it upside down. And you say, okay, you have these cleaning companies, and cleaning's not rocket science. They need to get out at night, do the cleaning. Where did they get their customers? And so if you had, Michael's cleaning company, what happens? It's just 24/7. You're out getting customers all day, and then you got to go out and change into your blue jeans and get cleaning at night. What our model does is essentially says, let's break apart the day and the nighttime and have 2 separate businesses that handle that. So you have your janitorial franchise. They focus solely on chemicals, equipment, cleaning the building, keeping the customer happy. And then you have the master franchise, who essentially is the daytime aspect. And their sole role is acquiring new business, building their franchise base, and then daytime, like operational and back office functions like billing and collections. And so it separates the model so that one business can focus on its core competency, another can focus on its. And it's a cool synergy, right? Because now you have this cleaning companies, they don't have to have any salespeople or marketing spend. And you have these master franchises that are sales and marketing focused, but have 0 employees who do any cleaning.
Really? That's awesome. So, I said short time. Now let's talk about what you did in that time, in that 17 years. So how did you start off and where are you at now?
So I started, my background was actually corporate finance. I was at IBM. I got recruited to come to Anago in 2009. And I literally started quite literally from the bottom. My first job was I was a telemarketer by day. So I'm leaving corporate finance, and they were putting me into a leadership program, but they said, listen, you have to know everything first. So I was telemarketing by day, and then at night I was cleaning a daycare. And I did that. I moved into the outside sales. I did customer service, and that was all in one of the master franchise territories before I even moved then to the corporate office. And I kind of came up through the operational track. So I was doing a little bit of the office management. I moved into a VP of operations role. I was traveling the country, meeting with all our franchisees. And frankly, I'm still pretty young at that point. I'm, probably late 20s, early 30s. And so what I ended up doing is the business had been around 20 plus years before I even joined. And so it's like, who the hell is this young kid coming to my office telling me what to do? So I kind of flipped it and I said, I have to do this from like a servant leadership approach of how can we help you? What can we do to help you grow your business?
Right.
One, in order to just win any kind of hearts and minds, because otherwise it's just some punk kid who's brand new to the industry telling me what to do. And 2, because at the end of the day, in any kind of franchise business, if your franchisees' sales are better, your business as the franchisor grows faster. And so it was like,
Right.
What else can we help you do? And so I kept that approach throughout, and I've been I was made president in 2015 and CEO in 2018. And then we got spicy from there.
Well, let's go. Well, let's go. You shared a lot of that. Like, where's the company at now? How many franchise stores do you have? How many franchisees and franchise do you have?
So we have just about 50 master franchise locations across the US and Canada, and then they are supporting about 1,800 of those janitorial franchisees. So
Wow.
and as a system, one of the things we're focused on right now is we're calling it Vision 2028. We'd like to be at 300 million in system-wide sales by the end of 2028. So we've went from, not your father's cleaning company to very much like a technology leader in the space with focused on kind of, I wouldn't compare us to a hyperscaler by any stretch of the imagination, but scaling very rapidly.
That's awesome. So that 17 years, you guys have done a lot. Well, it's been 25 when you started, right? So it's really been around 30, 40 years in doing the business.
Yeah, exactly. I think we just updated our marketing to saying like over 35 years, and it's about 37 years that Anago's been around.
I keep doing that too. Like I keep getting like accolades for, being in the industry that we're in, investing in, building in, for 35 years. And I was like, getting old.
Yeah.
At least you joined in a little bit young as a younger man, and you have the young man experience of it. I noticed there's a lot of competition in that business. What sets you guys apart, and what comes easy to you that comes challenging to everybody else?
I think it comes back to the customer service side of things and our use of technology in that space. So number one, I mean, from an actual cleaning tools standpoint, there's nothing I can get that any of my like similar set
Other
of
competitors can.
yeah, we all have the same mops and buckets and chemicals and we're not buying dollar store, Fabuloso or anything like that. I mean, it's all commercial grade stuff. So what we've decided is, so let me give you a little bit of backstory.
Okay, shoot.
When you have if you're talking about like a restaurant, okay, you can have one of three experiences. You can have a delight experience, right? Good food, waitress is super nice. You can have a terrible experience, food's cold, waiters are jerk, or that sort of middle of the road, like, it was fine type whatever experience, right?
Right.
In cleaning, we don't have three, we have two. And so either you get to your office, nobody gets to their office and goes, oh my gosh, it's spotless here. I'm going to buy my janitor a birthday present. Just,
Right.
either you get in and you go, all right, I got to work, and you sit down at your computer, or you get in and you're like, why is my trash can full still? Or like, why does it smell so bad in the bathroom over there? Like, what's going on here? And so we kind of acknowledged that, it is, a little bit of a thankless industry because only, people are only, even remember us when something goes wrong. So we said, how do we take those times when something inevitably does go wrong? Purely because, right, I mean, on one hand, it's a very people-centric business, which is great. You can't, I'm not getting exported to China. Amazon doesn't come to town and replace me. But it is,
AI is not gonna
yeah,
replace you.
AI is not walking into the building to go clean it, not
No.
yet at least, right? I mean, fast forward 20 years, you never know.
Robots might be a problem later.
Yeah, right. But not yet, not even close. We actually bought a robot to test out, so I'm on a waiting list to get a robot. But that's another.
What robots for cleaning?
I mean, I do just one of the generic ones, like a 1X Tech or an Optimus. I'm on all the waiting lists because it's like we have to experiment as to what is out there and what can it do. But that's another
I hate to throw you off.
hole.
I hate to throw you off task, but I've seen actually janitorial robots where they come in and they have an arm and they actually spray the urinals and they spray the toilets and they wipe them down.
Yeah.
So is that what you're talking about?
So no, I'm talking specifically about the more humanoid robots.
Gotcha.
So those robots, so here's what the hype is on those. They go, oh, these things are going to come in and replace, humans, and it's just frankly not the case. What
No.
they do with those robots, number one, is they're in very, let's call it structured environments where they already know the size of the room. They know there's nothing valuable, breakable, anything like that. They know exactly where the sinks are located. So you could definitely create, if you said, I'm creating a building from scratch that I'm going to build to the specifications or measured out to the specifications that we want the robot to clean, you could do that. The cost obviously would be exponential. Now, imagine that same robot walks into, your office and they try to, they have all the little spinning arms. What's going to happen? That your trophies in the background are going to get knocked over. That maybe priceless gift that your wife gave you made out of the crystal vase or whatever, that's going to get smashed. It doesn't have,
Your pet that you're leaving on top of the thing to remind you is going to get fallen down. They're
yeah,
going to clean it up, thinking
yeah,
it's dust.
yeah, exactly. And then essentially when it is able to at least not knock all that over, what's happening? Now it tries to wipe down your desk and it's going to miss a bunch of spots, and it tries to dust areas and it's not going to be able to capture everything. So from a standpoint of robotics, you have to investigate it in our industry, but frankly, I feel blessed that this is probably one of the last areas that AI and robotics is really going to get into. And so we have, a very long runway in terms of that. And so we'll, of course, be looking into what we can learn, but we have time.
We have time. I'm in the construction and multifamily industry. That's decades out. I've seen some robots like try and hang drywall, and it's cute, very cute.
Yeah, exactly.
If someone listening to the show wants to get better at what you do, what would you suggest to them? What tips and tricks would you give them?
Oh man. I mean, I'm definitely someone who never stops learning. I'm always reading a book. I found some like AI newsletters that I make it a point, I get a million newsletters, but I actually make it a point to read those, and go like, what's the next thing? Because there's, it's developing so fast that 5 new things come out every day. One of the reasons that I would say that we're technological leaders in the space is because it was an area to differentiate ourselves from a customer service standpoint. And so we say, how do we know, like we were talking about earlier, if I know someone's going to have a bad moment, how do I use that to make it into a good opportunity? And so I'm just frankly, I've always been a huge nerd, right? It wasn't that great in high school, but it's paying off in adulthood. And I always have been obsessed with technology and how it works and how I can use that to make my life easier. And then ultimately, in business sense, do the job better, faster, smarter, cheaper.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. And you try and fix the problem. I think they say it's the most value to somebody is when you solve their problems.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the bad one. What is one of the hardest things or the biggest challenges you had to overcome in your career?
So I think for me, I mean, I can think of bad experiences I've lived through and overcoming that. I think one of the hardest things I had to overcome, though, just from a managerial standpoint, was myself. I've been here 17 years. I've been CEO for 8. I would say the first half of that was like learning like how to CEO. And, there's no roadmap. You don't get a playbook when you become the CEO. Everyone's looking at you like, okay, where are we going?
What do we do now?
And I think, one of the things that you learn as you grow in your career is when you go from employee to manager to director, VP, right? You're climbing the ranks.
Right.
You do it in a certain way that works for you, and the company acknowledges like, wow, he's doing it a certain way and that works. So we should put more people under him to do it his way. You kind of consolidate power in that regard, right? Like, okay, now people are doing things. We're all rowing the way I want to row. You get to the CEO role and you quite literally have to unlearn all of that, because what ends up happening is you become the roadblock where now all decision making is flowing through you. And now your company can only grow as fast as you can make decisions. And frankly, when you start looking at the different functions, marketing, operations, finance, suddenly you go, wait a minute, like, am I really the smartest person in the room on all of these topics? And the answer is maybe one, but likely no. And so I think in the back half of my CEO tenure, I learned how to get out of my own way. And that was not easy, because I'm admittedly a smart guy. I didn't get here by being wrong very often. But at the same time, you get to a place where you go, am I going to be the smartest person in the room when it comes to marketing? If no, I hired a chief marketing officer, for example. I just actually hired a fractional CFO now because my background is finance. Usually I was the smartest guy on finances. and now it's at a scale and a size where it's like, I just don't have the time to keep up with that. Let me find someone who's smarter than me on it, tell them my expectations, outline what I'm looking for, and then let go and let them run the way they need to run it.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. So in leadership roles, I've found the best way to motivate people is empower them. Whenever someone comes up to me with a problem, I'm like, what would you do in this situation?
Yeah.
And 90% of the time they have the right answer.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So next time, don't come to me with that answer until it's a real problem, because you know
Yeah.
what the answer to the solution is. Now just keep
Yeah.
doing that. And
Yeah.
it really changes the game for them and you.
Yeah. By answering it, you really do train them to rely on you.
Where to
And
come for the
yeah,
answers,
yeah.
right?
And so you have to turn it around and go like, okay, you've presented the problem. Now tell me what you think you should do. And then sometimes, and a lot of times, initially they get it wrong. And you go, okay, hey, you said this, but when you said that, were you considering X, Y, and Z over here that would be impacted? No. Okay. Let's make a note about why you should consider those things. And now what would you do if you had to consider those things? And eventually, they get there. I'm big on, so I read Traction, so the EOS framework, entrepreneurial operating system. And then I've read, what the heck is it? Not Andy Stanley, the former CEO of Intel from years ago, Andy something or other.
I
He
should
did
know. My brother worked there.
he did OKRs, objective key result.
Yep.
So I liked both, but I didn't like them completely. So I kind of took them and combined them into a single process that we use for all project management here. My team absolutely hated me as I was implementing this, but it became something that now everything is managed using this process. Um, and frankly, the joke was there was an old janitor meme, and it showed a leaky faucet, and it said, we were too busy mopping the floors to turn off the faucet." And
That's a great meme. That's a great meme.
And so I explain that to my team as like, listen, you can't be too busy saying I'm building the skyscraper to then go back and look at so we don't go back and look at the blueprints. Like, no,
Right.
you have to have the blueprint, you have to have the structure, you have to take the time to put that down first. And then when you have that, let's talk about, okay, now what does it look like to build this building or to clean this building or whatever, the metaphor is.
Hmm.
But every project has an owner, key milestones that have to be done, and what dates. We put in a why is this important? I think that's crucial to add to every project because a lot of entry level people don't understand. Like, so, oh my gosh, my boss just gave me all this work. Well, this is terrible. I don't want to do all this. But you say, hey, here's why we need to do this project and who it impacts and how it impacts them. It makes it so they understand the larger goal and it's not just busy work to them. And then through all that, right? So I have an owner, an objective, key milestones and objectives, key completion dates, and ultimately then, my dad used to say, well, you could get hit by a beer truck on your way into work. And now any C-suite person can get hit by a proverbial beer truck, and the team can just pick up and know exactly where every project is, where
Right.
it's at, what's the status, what do we need to do next. And it makes, when you've made yourself as the CEO, like the least valuable person in terms of the contribution of the daily stuff and more just the motivator and the sage advisor. That's the role I enjoy the most. It's like I don't want to be grinding through all of that when I really need to be focused on like where are we going to go in 5 years?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Sounds like things are going pretty well for you right now, financially. Thinking about the future, have you ever considered ways to create income without doing so much work, like passive income?
I think everybody has. I was
You'd
looking
be
at
surprised. You'd be surprised. That question hurts a lot of people in this industry.
So I always am looking at stuff like that. I've spoken with some friends about, potentially starting another franchise business. I've talked, I was listening to, who was it? Chris Croner. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Hmm.
I think he's a YouTube guy, and his whole
Hmm.
thing is like, create all, 101 side businesses that I've actually created and monetized. It's like, okay, this is interesting stuff. Always,
He's
always,
into steel buildings now, which is kind of interesting. But the way he's doing it is he's paying people. He's having people pay him to sell for him. That is the craziest concept I've ever heard in my life.
That's how my franchise model works. You pay a franchise
Really?
and you learn to sell the Anago way in your city, USA. Now, granted, you're going to make millions of dollars eventually off of it. It's not it's not for free. You get your cut too. But yeah, I mean that think about that. I mean, isn't that franchising in general, right? Hey, you're going to open this Papa John's in this territory. You're going to sell my pizza, and you just paid me to sell pizza in your city, USA.
Right.
But it's buying a system and it's buying a process. It's not just, hey, pay me and good luck and some kind of pyramid or something like that.
Right. Sounds good. Thanks for your time. Really do appreciate it. Wrapping up the interview, what exciting plans do you guys got going on for the next 6 to 12 months?
Oh, we have too many things going on right now. We always do. So we are right now, we're in a full rebrand. We've moved to a new website company. We're in doing a full rebrand of literally everything digital and physical advertising. And we're getting into a lot more experimental, top of funnel and mid funnel digital advertising. So in my world, right, people don't know who cleans their office as a typical circumstance. Right. But usually it's I don't know, the cleaning guy or the cleaning lady cleans my office, And so we're trying to see what we can do with brand awareness and creating that, because I think all of our competition, frankly, is focused on the bottom of funnel, the who needs the cleaning service today. And so they're running, the old classic PPC ads and stuff like that and saying, okay, but the issue is maybe you're happy with your janitor today, but 6 months from now, you go, man, this guy keeps leaving trash cans full, and every time I call him, he doesn't answer. And we keep trying to remind him and he's doing a terrible job and we need to get a new company. I need to be in front of you then. And wouldn't it be great if you had already heard of me when you got to that point? So
very good point.
Well, and that's CMO level marketing that was smarter than me and why I hired somebody to take on that role.
Nice. Very nice. So, do me a favor. If anybody would like to get in contact with you, how would they do it?
First, our website is anagocleaning.com, ANAGO cleaning.com. We're on every social media, as @Anago Cleaning. And then I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if you just type in Adam Povlitz on LinkedIn and shoot me a note, I will be sure to get back to whoever sends me a note.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks very much. I appreciate it. And I do appreciate your time and your wisdom that you brought to the podcast. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much for being on the show. And is there anything else you want to tell the viewers before we take off?
First, yeah, my pleasure for joining. This was fun. Thank you very much. And I guess I would say, if you're looking to improve your life with a commercial cleaning franchise, it's definitely not a sexy industry, but you can take it to the bank.
There you go. Sounds good. Hey, listen, thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And for everybody else, like and subscribe to the podcast and stick around for more interviews. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.